So today I was sitting out here enjoying the weather a little bit, recuperating from some of the work I've been doing, and I was thinking one of the best thought exercises you can do is to look at all the large prepping and survival channels. For instance, you could look at Bear Independent, Pastor Joe Fox with Viking Preparedness, Canadian Prepper, City Prepper, Asymmetrical Preparedness, and a lot of the other channels that are out there, whether they're large or small. And what you want to do is do a survival thought exercise. And in this exercise, what we do is we look at these channels. You gather whatever intelligence you can on these individuals from two standpoints. Let's say that they are a survival group or a prepper group that is in your area. And what you want to do is look at several situations and roles and decide how you would react, how you would negotiate with them. If you had to fight them, how would you go about doing that? Would you isolate them? Would you defend yourself from them? And how would you go about doing this? So let's say you're in a situation where you have a conflict, and I'll give you a couple examples. So let's say you have a 11-year-old that has wandered over into the area of one of them, and they're Rhodesian Ridgeback hounds, they're pit bulls, they're Rottweilers, whatever it is, has tore this child up. And, you know, if you think about it, it can be a 5-year-old or an 11-year-old. So is that an instance where you would negotiate medical care, where they would reimburse you? What if the individual died instead of being hurt? How would you interact with these groups, and how would you settle those issues? Is that a situation for deadly force? Is that a situation for reparations and compensation? Let's look at another one. Let's say that you have an individual that went and stole some eggs from a homestead of one of these groups. The person was unarmed and they were killed there. So basically they were killed over stealing some eggs. In one instance, they allow you to come in and recover the body. So is this something you let go? That they killed an unarmed member of your group that was stealing something? And think about it this way. What if it was an 8-year-old? What if it was a 25-year-old? And what are the differences in how you would respond? Let's look at another instance. Let's say you need medical care. How would you negotiate or influence one of these groups to provide medical care? And this is a really interesting one. Let's say that they accidentally injured one or several members of your group. Would you force them to provide medical aid to these people? Would you force them to assist you with retrieving, moving, and caring for these people? Would you expect reparations? If they wouldn't do any of this, how would you respond? Now, I think it's interesting to look at these survival groups, because if you look at the full gamut, if you look at the large groups and the small groups on YouTube, it gives you a full range of personality types, skill levels, real versus imagined capabilities. So, for instance, if you were going to negotiate with Pastor Joe Fox, being in the special forces, he would have probably gone to the negotiation school that they provide special forces with, how to negotiate and influence indigenous personnel. So that would be a hard negotiation. And he would be negotiating from a standpoint of that knowledge, and he would be skillful in that. Versus, for instance, if you're going to negotiate with Canadian Prepper, he seems more of a financial bent on negotiation versus a military one. He is a professional counselor, so he has some psychological training that goes up above college level into master's level. So he would be adept at mental manipulation in negotiations. Then let's look at the fact that, let's say that you're in conflict with one of these groups. How would you go about fighting that group? Would you isolate them? Would you destroy transpo? Would you attack their food production capacity? If they're in an area, would you attack their heating capacity? And would you put them under siege? And one thing people don't realize is you can put groups under siege intermittently, because if you think about it, homesteads, farms, places that are doing production work, they have certain events and times of the year that they have to do certain things. And if you only disrupt them on those periods of time, that can have the same effect as you isolating and putting them under siege permanently. So these are some of the things you're going to want to look at. So for instance, with City Prepper, is his basis of survival viable? Since he is prepping in a city and bases it on that, how would that affect your analysis of his capabilities, as well as how he would negotiate and fight? So a thought exercise that will help you more than what any of the channels are giving you. Share your thoughts. We'll see you on the next episode. What are done?